Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Club at 22, your Rangers podcast. This is Club Live, Friday the 16th of December. We're almost there at the big day, but we've got another weekend to get by yet. I am your host, Ryan Haymarch, and this evening we're going to review last night's win over Hibs. And if I am having technical difficulties, I do apologise. It's because I am using Scotia's Wi-Fi. So on that note, I will introduce you to the boys, and I think the first gentleman I'm going to introduce will have a new joke about Scotia's Wi-Fi and possibly a bike and a dad. Ali Pearson, how are you doing?
Nah, I'm not going to use it, Ryan. I'm going to keep that one. Scotia didn't like it, so I'll get a new joke for Scotia for next year. So I'll put that one to bed for them. So we'll come up with another one. No, how's good to be here.
How's your week been this week? Has Malik gave you a text this week?
He has, aye. That was me that gave him a wee text at half time just to wake him up, and he did wake up at half time. So it's all down to me for the third goal. I'll take the credit for it.
Good fan. Scotia, how are you? How's your week going, mate?
It's going very well after the final result last night. That certainly cheered me up back into proper football. Really, I have been, like I've said before, I have been enjoying the World Cup, but nothing beats getting back to your sort of day-to-day Rangers action. So thoroughly enjoying it. I'm looking forward to it.
Did you get a McDonald's or a KFC? That's the big question.
That's the big question.
Oh, it was a McDonald's. It was a McDonald's I went for because I think KFC had just shut.
Right.
We'll not talk about McDonald's after being in there at 2 or 3 o'clock on Sunday morning with you two, but that's maybe for the OnlyFans podcast. And last but not least, Mr. Scott Carney, how are you this evening, mate? How's your week going?
Yes, all good, mate. All good. Just another manic week at work, really. Yeah, but not all made better by seeing Rangers finally get the win last night. That is for absolute sure. So yeah, looking forward to continuing on, hopefully, and we'll hopefully go from strength to strength. And that's a new one, Scotia. I think you'll agree. Ali putting a joke to bed because I'm pretty sure he's still telling a joke from about 1984, as far as I'm aware.
I've known Ali since I was 15 years old, so he's still pulling out jokes from back then. So that tells you everything.
Yes, good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody in the chat.
Yes, evening, everybody in the chat. Thanks for tuning in and getting involved with your questions. We'll try and answer them when we can. Obviously, we do want to focus. The football is back now, so we want to focus on Rangers, and we got 3 points. We're off to a flyer under the 18th manager, which is Michael Beale. So, if you didn't already know, Rangers played Hibs last night in the Premier League, an 8 o'clock kickoff, which is a total pain in the bum, in my opinion. But hey ho, it's for television. So, Rangers ran out 3-2 winners. I think the only place to start is the team selection. There was a few, shall we say, surprises in there and a few non-surprises in terms of Jack Amara. I think a couple has called that Jack Amara would make an appearance again, and it did. So the boys done a review of the game last night, and it was Ali and Carney giving their opinions. So if you've not already watched that, you can catch up on it on our channel. So as I said, it was Jack Amara. Fashion Sakala also got a start as well, along with Alfredo Morelos, and a back two, which was another surprise, of Jimmy Sands and John Lundstram. Future captain Ryan Porteous opened to score him from a header. I couldn't keep a straight face, and I promised myself I'd keep a straight face. Ryan Porteous opened the scoring, and of course celebrated in the type of fashion you would expect him to celebrate. And we hit back with a great goal, in my opinion, from Fashion Sakala. Just shuffled the ball and a great finish. And maybe about 2 seconds later, I think Kevin Nisbet was through on goal and put it past Alan McGregor to put Hibs up 2-1. And it was probably at that moment I thought to myself, I wouldn't mind another World Cup starting in another 5-week break, because I was not enjoying myself. But luckily, in the second half, Rangers seemed to come out and probably had their best spell for 20 minutes. Ryan Jack equalised, and then Alfredo Morelos scored from close range after some wonderful footwork from Malik Tillman. So, as I said, Ali and Carney were on the pod last night, but Scotia, you were not, and neither was I. So what was your kind of take on the game last night overall?
It was kind of the definition of a game of two halves. The Rangers, that one there. I think first of all, when I seen the lineup coming out, I know I predicted 4-0 in a club deck corner during the week, but when I seen that lineup with Lundstram and Sands in centre of defence, my opinion changed straight away. I took that to assume at the time that obviously King had probably pulled up with a knock of some sorts, and then obviously it was a wee bit of a surprise seeing Sakala in that lineup as well. Because I know he only got like 20 minutes against Leverkusen, and Beale had come out afterwards and said that was all that he was really able to do. So it was a bit surprising to see Sakala starting there, but obviously Cholak again confirmed by Beale afterwards that he'd picked up a thigh strain or thigh knock in training. So the team, looking at it, I was like, didn't feel as confident as I was. That kind of bore fruition in that first half. It was very frustrating first half. I've kind of got to the stage though where I go in the concourse at half time to speak with the boys, that I don't get too wound up. I don't get too carried away with myself, because images flash back to when we done that Motherwell vlog, Garney, and we were all buzzing about the performance and then not going to a defeat. So I was like, right, no, I'll give it time. But then that second half, far, far better from Rangers. Everything looked an awful lot sharper. Everyone seemed to have settled into what they were doing, and I was really pleased with that second half performance. I think in the first half there was probably only 2 players that I would give pass marks to, maybe 3 if you include McGregor in that, but 2 outfield players that I would give pass marks to in that first half. But in the second half I thought pretty much everyone was solid enough. Some of them really, really good and really important in getting us the victory. So that was the main thing for me, getting that victory, because you didn't want to come into this weekend with Celtic having the chance to go 12 points clear before we've even really get back into the swing of things. So really pleased with the result and the performance in the second half.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the most important thing was to get off to a winning start for Beale. I think the pressure would have been not the pressure on Beale wouldn't have been there if we'd dropped points. But I think the atmosphere would have turned quite a bit if we hadn't got the win. And it's something Beale's obviously alluded to, that he's trying to get the atmosphere and the good feeling back to the club. So we started with a win. That's the way I look at it. Ali, Scotia touches on, made a few good points there. I thought Alan McGregor made a good save at 2-1 when it was 2-1 to Hibs. I think he kept us in it. It was a 1-on-1 they had. You obviously gave your opinion on the game, but has anything changed? Or is anything that you had to look at the highlights and change your opinion on anything since last night?
Not really, to be honest. Scotia pretty much summed it up there. It was a game of 2 halves. The first half was it was like watching Gio's team, to be honest. I mean, it's not going to just all of a sudden turn around from what we've been watching, because it's the same players we're watching, Ryan. We've said for a while it needs a refresh with a lot of players to leave Rangers. You could see they wanted extra touch in the ball. It was slow. It wasn't great, and you were right with that one just before half time. If Hibs had put that away to make it 3-1, I don't think we'd have came back from that. If this was under Gio at 2-1 at half time, I don't think we'd have came back either. So they showed character for me, the Rangers team, in the second half. I thought they were very good in the second half, the Rangers team. Ryan Kent in particular, and he gets a hell of a hard time, Ryan Kent. I think Carney agrees with me as well. He gets a real hard time from some Rangers fans. I thought he was really good last night, Ryan Kent. He's been kind of unleashed, if you want to say. He's got a kind of free roll up there now. And I think he'll be a critical player for us moving forward this season, particularly in the Cups, which we want to try and win. The league, to me, is gone, but if we can close that gap as much as possible, he's going to be a big player for us. But no, I was happy. It was 3 points. The second half was encouraging for me. Certain players I thought played well. It's just the defence for me, because the goals we give away are schoolboy stuff, and we need to get the centre-backs back quickly, because we're away up to Pittodrie on Tuesday night, and for me, Davies has to start at centre-half on Tuesday night.
So that's me, got Ali's team for Tuesday night, and obviously we're playing Aberdeen as well. So I hope you all enjoyed the podcast.
like nobody knows we're not playing Aberdeen on Tuesday. It's not a secret.
Did you not get the agenda sent over? We're going to talk about Aberdeen. Let that'll come. I know you make some good points, and I think Scotia's right. Like, obviously, you're quite fortunate in terms of you sit together, are close together, and you can kind of vent at half time in the concourse and whatever. Whereas as you'll know, vent on the group chat very much to use when things aren't going well, and it's probably a case of he's catching up in the kind of running commentary of the game. I thought in the first half, I would agree they looked like Gio's team, but that's going to happen. That will happen. If you think that's not going to show from now to the end of the season, then I think you're probably a bit deluded. This isn't going to be an overnight change. We're going to see all the warts and spots and everything of this team from now to the end of the season. But I do think, I texted in the chat, and I do think that you can already see Beale's instructions in the team where there's a direct passing going on instead of the square balls too much. I think you could see on the break that Ryan Kent was running with the ball, but I think I texted the chat and said, when we're breaking away with the ball, we are trying to move up the pitch fast. However, for me, Malik Tillman and Alfredo Morelos aren't the fastest players, and when we're trying to get the ball up the pitch, I don't know if they're the best players for Beale's style, but time will tell with that. That's kind of further down the line, but I can see what he's trying to do with the team, so that was a positive in the first half, but there was still obviously a few cracks there. Carly, obviously you were on it last night as well, gave your opinion. Has anything changed? Is there anything you've seen in the highlights, or your opinion changed on anything at all you want to call out?
Not particularly. First off, Dundee Taylor, thank you very much, mate. It's much appreciated. Scotia looks like a hypnotist. I think Scotia's looking good now. His beard's coming on cracking right now, honestly.
Does he mean that guy?
Well, I've got that 24th deadline coming up.
Did you watch that? Was it the Fast Show? No, it was Little Britain. And the guy's like 3, 2, 1 back in the room.
Yeah, I remember the guy. Yeah,
You know the guy I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Get that Googled. Hypnotist, Little Britain. Get that Googled. I think that's what he's on about. Sorry, mate. Digressed. Apologies.
No, nothing's really changed, I don't think, from last night. I was the same, mate. I wasn't. I kind of got to about 30 minutes last night in the first half, and I was just like, oh, this is worrying, because it was a bit. I mean, the first half was chaos, really. We didn't really control the ball. It was very scrappy at points as well, and it was particularly worrying the way we conceded the second goal. Look, I know the first goal, as Ali said it last night, it's our Achilles heel. It is something we've seen over and over again, where it's a corner into the box, usually the first one. We just don't defend it, and it's as easy as you like for them to score. And it had to be Big Craig. He'll never learn, but when a boy will never ever learn. The celebration, I'm like, yeah, it's obviously good. It's easy to say that, the fact that we won 3-2, but he will never learn. But yeah, no, after about 30 minutes, I was like, I'm not really seeing anything here it was worrying. I think it's better to reflect after you hear Michael Beale discuss the match and discuss what he'd even said to the players. Look, I'm more and more, even if I wasn't before, every time I hear Beale speak, and that was after his first competitive game, I'm like, oh, I believe you and I believe what you're saying. And I know that sounds a bit silly, but it's very important to believe things like the managers that is telling you. And I like the fact that he went into them at half time and just went, you have to clear your heads. And it is clear there is a confidence issue with this team. And after we went up, the difference in levels was unbelievable. We just completely controlled the game. We were never really in any danger. Hibs gave everything in the first half. In the second half, they didn't have anything. I honestly don't think McGregor did anything in the second half that I can remember. I don't think he'd done anything of note. And yeah, it showed real fight. He showed real desire by the squad to just keep going and to come out and win that second half 2-0. You couldn't have asked for anything more than that. First half was a disaster. Yes, it's going to happen, but you mentioned it as well, Ryan, that if you don't think there's going to be Gio ball, whatever you want to call it, creeping in from time to time within this team, it will. It's going to take some time, but I think last night, the way that it went is going to do the players all the world of good, because they've went, we can win, we can come back from when we're down and we can go on and win games. So yeah, I'm delighted with the 3 points. To say, it's a great game for the neutral. It's not a great game for Rangers fans, but we got there with the win, and it was extremely important for Michael Beale to get 3 points in his first game in charge.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of your points there. Just seen Potato Man putting in the chat as well about when Porty scored that goal from the corner, should McGregor come for it? Not for me. Malik Tillman should jump jump for the ball. He is marking Ryan Porteous. It was a free header, which should never happen with a defence. So, not for me. We know that Al McGregor doesn't come for crosses. He never has. So I think we need to. I find it very tiring hearing Al McGregor getting blamed for corner kicks we concede because he's never came for corners, and I'll never stop banging the drum about that.
It's true.
In terms of team selection, I wanted to speak at team selection because I think we probably all felt the same when we saw the team selection. Few surprises in there, so I want to just kind of go over that. I was with Club at 22 admin assistant Jamie Lowe when the teams came out last night, and we were quite surprised. And I was thinking, I wonder what the reaction would have been if Gio had put that team out, because it did. I couldn't work out who was playing where, and I was trying to work out who was going to be playing in defence. And if you think of it, like Sakala was playing Morelos, Tillman, it looked very attacking, but you also had Lundstram and Sands, so which is an extremely patchwork defence. But that's down to availability more than anything else. Like I said, Ali, I'll come to you. I thought the way we set up going forward was quite positive. But the negative for me was Jack Amara. I don't think it works. I don't think it will ever work. And I said to you on Saturday, if Michael Beale does get this working, he should marry Debbie McGee because he's clearly got a bit of magic in him.
I think you need to strap yourself in, Ryan, because it's going to be Jack Amara for most of the season. I said until we can refresh this team, and mainly the summer, I don't see us bringing a lot of players in January, because January is a dodgy market to go into. I can see most of it being done in the summer. And I honestly think you're going to be seeing Jack and Kamara going forward. I really do. Until maybe somebody comes back like a Tom Lawrence. But for the short term, it will be Jack and Kamara moving forward. The first half, I was frustrated with the two of them because it's too slow for me at times. Kamara just wants the extra touch all the time. He can't shoot, Kamara, as well, which frustrates the hell out of me, because when he does shoot, he scores some fantastic goals for Rangers. Not many, to be honest, but he just never seems to shoot. I thought they were much better the second half, the two of them, but yeah, he likes Kamara. That was I did say in the podcast a couple of weeks ago. I listened to Andy Halliday, and he said he was the one player that will play for Rangers going forward because he likes Kamara. He likes the way he plays. He's just a frustrating player, Kamara. If he could shoot, we've seen he can shoot, but if he would shoot, the Rangers fans would get off his back a wee bit more, I think, because he's just very frustrating. I know he frustrates the hell out of Carney at times for not shooting, which is an understatement. But I honestly think, Ryan, you'll need to strap yourself in for the next few weeks at least. The two of them will be playing week in, week out. Sorry for negativity for you there, Ryan.
I don't think it's honestly, mate. I don't think it's negativity. I think it's probably reality, and also I'm starting to kind of get myself prepared for that. If I'm honest, I know Beale. I watched that podcast with Andy Halliday as well, and Beale does like him. I wouldn't be surprised if Beale is trying to win his head over. And I think it's no secret that Kamara is open to a move away from Rangers, and I'd imagine Beale's very much against that. I think he'll be trying to keep Kamara. Whether or not Jack's a man to play next to him or not, I think Rangers need to improve a hell of a lot central midfield wise. I don't think the two of them are a long term kind of option for us, but maybe from now to the end of the season, you could be right, it could be Jack Amara, and I'm looking forward to seeing that in the back of somebody's shirt this season.
Got to be number 22 though as well. We need to trademark that, surely. Yeah,
you've got to think of them. We could maybe do that as a raffle.
Get that right. Get that in the back of the Break the Lines fourth home top.
Aye,
there are two names on it.
And raffle it off.
Here, I'll tell you something. Obviously, this has been recorded. See if we manage to make a comeback in this league, I'll get a Jack Amara tattoo. There you go.
Oh, right. So if we win the league, you need to get a Jack Amara tattoo.
I'll get a Jack Amara tattoo for winning this league. Absolutely no bother.
Okay, mate. I'll remember that. Somebody remember that. Write that, Scotia. Write that down. Write it in the side of your drawers beside you. I
should probably take this opportunity to say thanks for watching, Mum and Dad. Right, Carney, for you as well. So the team, like I said, raised a few eyebrows. What did you take from the team selection when you first seen it, and your thoughts on Jack Amara? I can't believe we're talking about this tonight.
I know, I know. My heart sank a little bit, I'm not going to lie. Me and Ali were on our way to the ground and he was reading out the team, and Ali does this thing where the team comes out, he gets very excited, oh team, and then he goes, oh, and doesn't tell you the team. I was driving, I was like, what's the team? I was like, tell me what the team is. Obviously spoke his way through it, and then I was like, he's like, oh, it's Sands and Lundstram at the back, and I was like, oh my goodness. Look, that's a makeshift backline that we've seen. The first half in particular, we were as schoolboys probably being too polite about it. We were just powder puff. There was nothing in our backline as well, and not helped by again. I think James Tavernier defensively, especially in the first half, was shockingly bad. But again, Lundstram's not got a great turn of pace. He wasn't reading the game very well from where he was sitting, and it's not their fault. I'm not saying that it is their fault, but you've got to kind of assess it as you see it. But the Hibs were through a couple of times. Once they scored the other time, as I say, you're right that McGregor does make a decent save with his feet to keep it at 2-1. And yeah, when you first seen it, you're like, oh, this is just the same thing almost. Jack Amara, right. I said in the first half, it wasn't great. I think you can see maybe Jack and Kamara both kind of lacking confidence. Maybe not so much Ryan Jack. I don't think external factors really affect Ryan Jack, but Kamara, from the rumours that everybody says, he's asked for a move, he didn't get it. In the first half, I just thought, I mean, he took 5 touches at one point to pass the ball 3 yards to Devine. I was like, what are you doing? Like, it's pedestrian football. You have to be quicker. And yeah, I do think we have found the first player in history in Glenn Kamara that is allergic to shooting. So if he shoots, he'll come out in a rash or something will happen to him that's quite bad. So I do believe that we should contact the records or whoever holds records of that kind of thing and tell him about it. Look, in the second half, there was a vast improvement in the whole team. And I think Kamara and Jack both included in that. I think Kamara should have took a shot more than a couple of times, but some of the link-up play was really good. I thought Jack was much more positive and pushing forward a lot more, and the tempo had been upped. And I even think Tavernier was better in the second half as well. And his pass for the third goal for Tillman was spectacular. It really was. It was all perfect. It was a great goal to watch. But yeah, the team selection, mate, is what it is just now because of the way things are. I would tend to have to agree with Ali that I think Jack and Kamara, it's not the last time you're going to see it this season, mate. I think you'll be seeing it quite a lot just based on who we have available. I think Beale's well aware that Davis and Arfield can no longer do the week in, week out thing. Davis came on last night and I thought was good and shoring up the game and doing exactly what you want Davis to do in a game, to come on to have that effect and to just almost calm everybody down. I think Davis has that effect on the rest of the team where he just kind of calms everything down. But though I thought the second half, I think everybody was a vast improvement. But there's still a bit to go with the confidence levels, I think.
Yeah, and I think there was as you say about the confidence levels, I think I agree with Beale. Mentioned in I think it was his post-match that there was a spell where Rangers were on top and you could tell the kind of confidence was just kind of creeping back into the side because they have took a lot of batterings this team and from the fans and the media, and a lot of it deserved, but you can see the lack of confidence at times, and when they play with a bit of confidence we do look as if we can do a bit of damage. There was just still a spell where I wanted Rangers to go on and bury the game and score that fourth goal, and they just fell out the game again. It just couldn't quite get to where I wanted them to get to, but hopefully in time that'll come into it. Scotia, what about you in terms of the lineup? What did you think? Did you think that we'll not focus too much on Jack Amara because I think there's only so much you can say about it. But do you think it was more attacking?
If you don't consider who's playing in what position, yes, it was more attacking. But like I said at the start, the big concern was you look at the centre half pairing and you're like, no, I don't feel confident in that. And that created I think that was the problem with the first half. They created having Lundstram and Sands, both midfielders. Lundstram and a midfielder that hasn't played in a centre pairing of two before. I think he's always come in when he's played in defence. It's been in part of a back three for us under Gio. That gave me the fear because Lundstram, he's no pacey. So that gave me the fear, and then the midfield of Jack and Kamara. I'll briefly talk about them. Obviously, that news that King wasn't playing only came out in the morning of the game, so they didn't have an awful lot of time to kind of prep at what they were doing, and you could evidently see that in the first half, that the centre halves didn't know what they were doing, the two midfielders didn't know what they were doing. That was rectified in the second half with Jack and Kamara dropping a bit deeper, covering and protecting Tav and Divine on the fullback positions going forward. So that was better to see. But for me, it was that centre half pairing that, it's not really a centre half pairing. I know Beale came out and he'd said that we would have 4 centre halves available for that game last night, but I wasn't expecting one of them to be Lundstram. In all honesty, I don't think anyone was. So that was the issue there. Jack Kamara, I disagree with Ali. I think you'll see it occasionally, but I don't think you'll see it often. I think it'll be Lundstram and Jack probably more often, or Lundstram and Kamara, because what Beale said in his post-match was that if it weren't for the knocks, both Cholak and King would have been starting. So, that maybe to me means that King's playing in defence alongside Sands, Lundstram's getting pushed up, and one of Kamara or Jack's dropping out. And you would have probably had Sakala and Cholak switched around. So I don't see that happening too often as the season goes forward. But it wouldn't surprise me if you did see it, if they come into decent veins of forms, because it did work in the second half last night. I thought both Jack and Kamara were good. It was Kamara's best 45 minutes he's played for us in a long time in that second half. And Jack I love Jack. Seems to give this energy and vibrancy to the other players round about him when he's on it, and you could see that with like Tav and Alfie and Tillman linking up with him at times. And he gets me sort of all excited when he comes on, because you can just feel this kind of energy and desire to go out and play. Yeah, but you always get this with Jack's first couple of games back. It's just let's get through more than 5 or 6 games before another injury comes. So no, it was the second half gave me a wee bit more hope for the season going forward.
Yeah, I think it's a good point about Lundstram in the midfield. I don't know about that. Lundstram is one of 2 players at the moment for me that should be dropped. I think he's playing very poorly at the moment, like very poorly. I think he could actually do with a spell out the first team, whether it's to rest or just get his head together. He looks as if he's struggling. That's why I think Kamara's probably a bit of a fresh breath of fresh air. I think when Kamara's head is in the game, I think his ball retention is probably the best at Rangers. He's like, I think they always say him and Aribo were like cage footballers where they came from, and you can totally tell that. Close spaces, you can't get the ball off him. But it's a good point you make there about Lundstram. So I'll probably ask that before I move on to the next subject. John Lundstram. Ali, I'll come to you first. Drop him if we've got a centre halves covered. Goldson and Ben Davies are fighting fit, ready to go. Does John Lundstram get dropped?
Well, I know I gave you a wee clue into my team for Aberdeen with Davies centre half. Here's another clue for you. John Lundstram's not my team for Aberdeen.
Breaking news.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Ryan. I know he was playing at centre half last night. That's not his position. You can't judge him there. But this season he's not been great. I think his passing at times is absolutely shocking. I know he can play that diagonal sometimes, which is brilliant. But his passing at times is dreadful. I think he looks off the pace this season. I completely agree with you, Ryan. I would drop him. To me, like, I know Scotia disagrees with me, but he's got the right to disagree. That's his opinion. But I think that's why I think you'll see Jack and Kamara, because he's worked with them before. He knows what he'll get out of them.
Yeah.
Lundstram, he's watched Rangers all season. Michael Beale, he has. I mean, he's watched us for a long time, especially last season as well. But I could see Lundstram going out of the team. And I like John Lundstram. When John Lundstram's playing well, he's a great player for Rangers. We've seen that at the tail end of last season. But this season, along with a lot of other players, he's not done it for me. And yes, I would drop him, Ryan.
Yes, I don't think I can disagree with one word of that, Ali. I think I feel the exact same about Lundstram at the moment, and we all do love John Lundstram, but it's about Rangers. Carney, what's your thoughts? Centre halves are fully fit. Does John Lundstram get in the team?
It's a difficult one. I think yes. I'm not going to lie. I think he will remain in the team. I think he's seen as more critical than we probably think. Obviously, he was asked to play out of position last night and he done so. I'm not really judging based on last night, and he hasn't been great all season, but we still have yet to see him and he's in his natural position under Beale. So I'm going to say no for the next handful of matches, next 2 or 3 matches, see where we are, especially if we get a centre half back and he can move into the midfield and maybe judge it again after that once we've seen if he's still in this kind of rut that he has been in. And as I say, we are all John Lundstram fans, every single one of us is. I think we all were pretty much saying he was going to be our player of the season this year. So we do all absolutely love him, but I can totally get the argument. I can totally get the argument that it's not really worked out for him this season for one reason or another. I do think though, I'll go along with Scotia's way of thinking. I think it might be Lundstram and one other, even though I had just said we might see Jack Kamara quite a lot. But I think that's all based on who we've actually got available. One thing's for sure, I don't want to see him at centre half ever again. I don't mind if we're in Europe and we're doing that. He drops in to protect for cover or whatever else. But no, I don't want to see him at centre half ever again. So yeah, it's a really interesting one. That one is. It's one of those ones you're going to need to wait and see, and it'll soon become clear who Michael Beale thinks his men are, who he thinks his first team is. But again, we are probably some time away from that as well, because A, you've got a January transfer window coming up, and B, we've got 158 players out injured. So once they're all back, it will be interesting to see what he says in regards to that and who he picks. But I'll say for now, Lundstram not to drop him if he's playing in the midfield, and he'll play along with either Jack or Kamara, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's frightening to think we're middle of December and we don't have a settled midfield. It seems to change every week, and a lot is due to injury, but we just really don't. I don't think you could ever pick the Rangers midfield week on week. Scotia, I don't imagine you've got much to add to that. I know you said John Lundstram, you would drop him, would you?
No. What I'm saying is, I agree with you and Ali in the regards that he has been poor this season. He's been one of our poorer performers this season. But for me, Kamara hasn't done it. That 45 minutes was great, but he's not done enough when he has been playing to Kenny to automatically jump in front of Lundstram, if I'm being honest. So no, if Lundstram's playing in midfield, I would have him and Jack right at the minute.
Cool. So before I move on to that, I did mention there was probably 2 players that I think there's questions on their form. I want to kind of take the focus back over to some positive individual displays and a couple of question marks and players that we might disagree with here. So it'll make it interesting. Fashion Sakala, our favourite subject, divides so many opinions, and I can already see one of us shaking their heads here, and he's the man I'm going to come to first as well. Now, Carney, Fashion Sakala is somebody who we sat in the gantry that day and we watched, I'm going to say, one of the most interesting Rangers performances I've ever seen from a player. He looked as if he'd never seen a football before, and I'm not joking when I say that. It was something else. It was something to behold. You're right to behold. It really was. I think he looks like Messi one moment, and then I think he's really Messi the next. Mm-hmm. What would you do with Fashion Sakala and be polite?
He's an enigma, isn't he? That's exactly what he is. Look, his goal is great. I mean, honestly, he does well, gets himself his wee half yard, and the finish is cracking. It's a great finish. But the rest of that first half, he done nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing, apart from let the ball go out at one point when the ball got past him. It's a real difficult one with Fashion Sakala, because we can't continue to just keep saying, oh, he's raw. This is Fashion Sakala. This is the kind of player that he is. It's never really going to change. A lot of people kind of call for him to play, and I just think he's the best of what we have. I think we could get much better. I really do think we could get much better. He's a nice guy. It's nothing personal on the guy. He's a lovely lad, and sometimes things work for him, but apart from the goal, and again, somebody will probably come in the comments prove me wrong. I can't remember him really having an effect on the game after that. Did he get a header at one point?
He had a header just after the second half. Start of second half.
So and probably unlucky with that one as well. But maybe it's one of the ones you need to persevere with it with Fashion Sakala. This is just, you just accept it, that this is the player you're going to get. He's going to be frustrating as hell at one point and then do something tremendous the next. But then that I know he didn't come with the price tag of what Ryan Kent came with, but that's like everybody expects what Ryan Kent, when Ryan Kent gets the ball, that every time he takes on a player that he has to beat him, he has to get past him, and he has to do something. That's not football. No football player in the world does that. But obviously, as soon as Kent does it, it's like in some of the shouts last night from people, even from around me, where I was like, they're screaming at Kent, "Why are you shooting?" I'm like, we've screamed for like the past year that we don't shoot, and now as soon as somebody's taking a shot, you're screaming that he's taking a shot, and it's just like very frustrating. Yeah, it is Ibrox, mate. It's very frustrating. Very frustrating. But yeah, look, Sakala he is what he is. He's either hit or he's missed. And he's missed more times than not, for me, to be honest. But he did get his back in the game last night. But apart from that, and the header that he was probably unlucky with, to be honest, there was not a great deal in him. He's a hard one to judge. He's unpredictable, and I suppose maybe that's a good thing in games, for certain games, for him to be unpredictable. But I think he was kind of put in last night because Wright, they'd mentioned, Bill mentioned after the game, Wright had the bug at the start of the week, the one that King's now got, and obviously the other option's Rabbi Matondo. I'm not going into the Rabbi Matondo conversation, so I think Sakala was he's going to have to play. But yeah, Sakala done well for his goal, but I think we can do better.
I get that. I think any point anyone makes about Fashion Sakala, I agree with, because it is he is an enigma. He's what I would call a wild card. But funnily enough, if we were playing a big game tomorrow, if we were playing against them tomorrow, I would start him. I don't know why. There's something about him where he does something different. And in that game against them at Parkhead last year, he terrorised them. He absolutely terrorised them for a while. And I don't know. I've never seen a player like him. Ali, obviously, we like a wee chanter, Waka Waka in the pub now and again. We like the song. But he needs to do more than that. What's your analysis of Fashion Sakala?
Fashion Sakala is a great song, Ryan. We do like that song.
It's a great song, mate.
The Waka Waka, aye. Carney pretty much summed them up, to be honest. I mean, you've seen the two sides of him last night. Scored a fantastic goal. It was a fantastic goal. And then I seen him, they couldn't control a ball and it dribbled out for a throw into Hibs. So you see the two sides of him. He's frustrating. He's unpredictable. He is a wild card. I agree with that. He doesn't know what he's doing half the time. So how you meant to defend against him. So he is. I like that about him. Going forward with us next season, if we need to address that side, he's not a starter for me going forward next season. I think he's a very good option for us to bring on, starting certain games. But yeah, games like Celtic, I mean, you've seen him play that, you said that 30 minutes against AI. He did terrorised them. Nearly scored 2 goals, scored a great goal, hit the post, should have probably scored. That's what he's got. You just don't know what you're going to get with him. We've seen him score the hat-trick against Motherwell, and in the next game, he could be absolutely anonymous. That's what he is. And I've accepted that's what he is. I don't think you can coach him. That's what he is. And he's not a young lad, like Carney says. He's 24, 25 or something, I think, Sakala. So, no, I love him. I love him a bit, Sakala. But moving forward with this Rangers team, he's not a starter. Maybe in the short term, but not at the moment. Not later on. Yeah,
Scotia, I think Ali just spot on there when he says he's not a starter. Fashion Sakala long term. But he is, you can't argue his numbers. He has got decent numbers. And he does give you something completely different. I think we're very guilty of, being very guilty of doing the shoehorn football. Everybody hold on to the ball, tidy passes, but not actually doing something with it. He's direct is an understatement with Fashion Sakala. What's your opinion on him?
similar to the guys there, Sakala, I don't really know what to think of him. Sometimes he's brilliant, sometimes he's absolute dog meat. It wasn't that long ago that he came up. He sort of came out of nowhere and started on the right for us. And we're like, it was brilliant. Like play him, and then he did have a couple of decent games, then fell out when he got that injury. But no, I think he's one of these players that he could come off the. We could be playing Aberdeen on Thursday night or Tuesday night coming up, and struggling, and then Sakala come off the bench, because I'm like Ali. I wouldn't, if I was picking the team at the moment. It's difficult to judge because we don't know how Beale will set up once everyone's kind of available. But Sakala wouldn't be in my first team squad. But if he'll come off he could come off the bench and have an absolute stormer, and we'd all be calling him to start the next game. And then he'll start the next game and he'll be absolutely rotten. He's far too inconsistent, I think, to get to the level that we need. But he does have that good bit of unpredictability that you do need in games sometimes, because I've said it many times before. He doesn't know what he's going to do. The defence doesn't know what he's going to do against them. We don't know what he's going to do. It's the perfect kind of mix to mix up a game a wee bit sometimes.
Yeah, no, totally. I think he's just got, as I've already said, a wild card kind of style to his game. So I am very much in the camp at the moment of keep him, because he does have numbers. But I don't think there's ever going to be a time with Fashion Sakala where you're not sitting there just shaking your head, wondering what the hell you're watching, because he's unbelievable, and not always in a good way. Curry Muncher did make a comment there saying whether I would pick Fashion Sakala or Ryan Porteous. Well, Fashion Sakala is called Fashion Sakala. Mr. Porteous is a good first name, so let's just leave it at that. My next, Craig. Aye, what did you think? What did you think I was going on about? Obviously, Craig. Lastly, this is another individual I want to speak about, and he deserves to be spoken about this evening, is Malik Tillman. I think we're starting to see. We knew the potential was there at the beginning of the season. I think we all criticised him after the Old Firm game. You're still seeing parts of his game that he could brush up on. But he's a young boy. We need to, I said that in the pod the other night, that we need to remember how young this lad is. He is learning the game, he's learning his trade. But Carney, I'll come to you first. It deserves to be spoken about, that shuffle from the right foot to the left, and then the calmness to not only stay on his feet, but just to feed Alfredo. If you've got any kind of half-decent striker, if Tillman gets close to the striker in the box, he's going to do some damage this season.
Definitely. I'll just fire up a few comments as well onto the screen as well, as soon as you started talking about Tillman, and you can see the effect that he's having. I can't wait for this relationship between Beale and Tillman to develop, because Beale's made it quite clear that he's very excited to work with a player like Tillman. I think he's got every chance of just getting better and better. And the thing as well with Tillman is he's now, once we get more people back and all that, he's going to be playing, as Beale said, in between the posts, because that's where he is going to be most dangerous. I think I'll steal an analogy. I don't know if we've said it tonight, or I don't know if one of you said it, but I think we've all said it. The ability to keep a hold of a ball when he's got no right to keep a hold of the ball, the Joe Aribo's about him. It's you can't really teach that. That's something that can't be taught. It's just you have it in you that you'll always seem to come out of a tight situation with the ball. And the work that he does after he collects the ball from Tav, and it's his upper body movement as well. He can totally just send a player the wrong way by not even moving his body. He literally just moves the top half of his body and the player's already gone, and the wee shuffle with his feet, and to stay composed as he's falling to the ground, to just get his foot on it to get it to Morelos. It was one of the goals as you're watching it, you're going, oh, and making the noises. You're making the noises because you knew you were about to watch a very, very special goal, and it was a delight to see. Honestly, an absolute delight to see. So Tillman is one of the ones that's going to constantly get brought up now, because the price tag is reportedly $6 million for him. I do think that's an awful lot for the situation that we find ourselves in, with the amount of investment I believe needs to get done in the squad. But can we afford to let this guy go? Can we afford not to sign him? Especially if he's keen on staying. I think Rangers would be crazy not to pay the money. And I know we've changed our tune on him a few times, but from what I've seen for the couple of games under Beale, I'm very excited to see how much more we can get out of him. And let's be honest, he is still young, like you said, Ryan. He is going to develop. I can't see 6 million us not getting, and I mean this like a worst case scenario. I can't see us not getting 7 million for him. So for business sense, I think it makes perfect sense. I know the rumours were that Bayern Munich have got a buyback clause or whatever it is. It's like if we buy them, they've got first dibs on them, basically, which I'd imagine will be an agreed price. But if our agreed price is 6 and their buyback is 8, you're still going to get 2 million back on them as profit. So right now, as of this second, and I've changed my tune on this, in fact, you could probably go back about less than a month, maybe just over a month, and I've said, no, I wouldn't sign Tillman, and now I'm going, yes, I would sign Tillman. But it's amazing how things can change. But just based on the stuff that he can do, the performance that he put in that second half in particular, we kind of criticise lack of effort. I definitely didn't see any of that from him last night. I thought he was all in last night. So yeah, as of right now, I think Rangers should be seriously considering signing this boy, because I think there is a real baller in there.
There's definitely a baller. I think even anyone I've seen a couple in the comments, one or two anyway, that said they maybe wouldn't sign him, but I think even they would appreciate there is a baller in there. There's no doubt about it. He's got, Ali summed it up perfectly in a text to chat last night. He's a tin opener, and that is exactly what he is. He's different to anyone up front for me, and I think sometimes he's maybe let down by the team round about him. I think as well there's a question over his energy off the ball. We are guilty of looking for it. We want a Rino Gattuso. Every player needs to be a Rino Gattuso and pressing the ball like a sheepdog. It's not going to happen. And I think we also need to take into consideration he's a young lad in a new country. So I'm excited to see how Tillman's going to develop over the next 4 or 5 months. Ali, Tillman, what's your latest on with him? What's your thoughts on him so far?
Well, we all know there's a player in him. I mean, that game at Fir Park we were at, Ryan, when that goal he scored, he's got it in him. He has got a lot of the Joe Aribo about him. And obviously, Joe Aribo was my favourite player last season. And that was, he morphed into Joe Aribo last night when he did that move.
Don't you start crying in this pod.
I won't start crying.
You start talking to Joe Aribo, you start getting emotional.
Yeah, a bit of Westlife in the background, I'll start crying. No, he's got it. But I want to see him do it in big games, Ryan. I want to see him do it at Pittodrie on Tuesday night. I want to see him do it against Celtic at Ibrox, and I want to see him do it against Aberdeen in the semi-final at Hampden. That's when I'll go, yeah, let's have a look at maybe signing this boy. He is young though, which we keep forgetting. Lowry and that get let off because of who he gets more of a hard time because he has this 6 million hanging over his head, which isn't fair on the boy, because that's not him that's put that on. But yet I've seen a difference in him recently. And I'm the same as Karen. I'm excited to see what Beale's going to do with him, because Beale gets a tune out of young players. And I said, look what he did with that QPR team. A lot of young boys in there, he's got a tune out of them. He will get a tune out of Tillman. I think he'll free him up more in the park. And I think you're seeing that. With Gio, he was shoved out in the right quite a few times, and that's not his position. I think he'll play a lot closer to Alfie, like he did in the second half. So, yeah, I'm excited to see it, but I want to see it in the big games. And Tuesday night coming up I would class as a big game away at Pittodrie. I know Aberdeen, but in league terms, for us, away at Pittodrie is a big game. So I'd love to see him turn it on up there on Tuesday night.
Yeah, I'd like to see a big performance from him, but that's a pressing question that's coming for Curry Munch. They're a huge question, and we're all eager to know the answer to. Does he know his song about Mali?
He's Malik, you know.
Face up, you did say it to him, and to his face, you said it to him.
I sang the song to his face, aye. He enjoyed it.
And he was very, very impressed. I wish I'd got a picture of his face when you were singing it. I wish I'd videoed it, actually.
Your mum would be very proud, Ali. Your mum would be very proud.
He's one of the guys that is that laid back, and I don't think he really gives a monkeys about anything, to be honest. He was just told to be there, and that was it.
Yeah, he
Correct.
was.
And if anybody was in Dumbarton Road on last Saturday night, they would have heard the song getting sung a lot as well.
Maybe he was driving by and he might have heard it.
That was also Alistair. Scotia, Malik Tillman. What's your thoughts on him so far this season?
I don't think my opinions wavered too much in Tillman since he's come in. I've always been impressed with him, always liked him. Expected that wee dip because, like you say, he is young and it is forgotten about all the time. So I've really liked Tillman. He's this type of player. An awful lot of times when he was playing previously under Gio, you could see that he looked like he was wanting to do something, but the rest of the team around about him didn't know. Like he was like a level ahead in intelligence, football intelligence for them, if that's down to the players or the management sort of team at the time, not drilling that in. But he's looked pretty decent. The last couple of games under Beale, that second half, he was really good. His pressing and the pressing of the team in spells, that sort of focused pressing at certain points was really good. That period when we were really in the ascendancy last night, and Tillman was running about a lot. He did run himself into the ground a wee bit, so you could tell that he needed to come off. But no, I've always been impressed with Tillman. There's maybe a wee bit of concern that because he did have that poor game against Celtic, but so did the rest of the team. So can you put all that focus on a 20-year-old boy in his first Old Firm when it should get leveled to some of the more senior players, your Lundstrams, your Taverniers, folk like that. Just hopefully that game doesn't affect him, that then that's how he always approaches it, but I don't think it will, because I think he's too good a player. And £6 million for him, I'm like Carney, I think that's a really good deal. If it is the £6 million, that's cracking, because if depending on what Bayern's buyback option is, if it's a set price or if it's they get first dibs in the market price for him or something like that, I don't know. But that's good investment for us Rangers. He's a young boy, so he's got plenty of time ahead of him. You compare that to the transfer fees we paid for Matondo. What was that, $3.5 million? You can't tell me that $6 million, paying $2.5 million more, you're going to get more for your buck there, aren't you? And then Yilmaz was what, $4.5 million as well. So I think it's a good investment in our USA, breaking through into that USA international team. My one concern though is when Hadji comes back. He's now signed that contract extension for another 2 years. When Hadji comes back, when Lawrence comes back, you've got them three, Kenny, that they would play in that position. Does one of them drop back and play deeper in the midfield? We have a bit more attack in midfield. Do that, but then the other issue that always sticks in the back of my mind then is you've got Lowry hovering about. And Lowry plays in a similar sort of position as to where Tillman's getting asked to play at the minute, and it's that balancing act you've got between these sort of the players that we could have come the start of next season if we decide to buy Tillman.
Yeah, I would. I think you all know my opinion on Lowry. I would have Lowry playing right now, but as you said, it's how you fit him and Tillman into the team. But that's probably another pod. The only other thing I want to say on Tillman is the $6 million. I think it might have been Linda in the comments said she wouldn't pay $6 million for him. $6 million for him. I think in today's market, I think that's a bit of a bargain, because you're paying for potential these days. I mean, you look down in England, and if a player plays one good game, he's worth $50 million, and that's not even a joke. That's like, so you're paying for potential these days, and I think of what Tillman showed so far, his background in internationals, I think $6 million's a snip. So yeah, if he continues to, I think he'll get better as well this season. I'm going to change my player of the season to Tillman. Done. Boys, I did want to speak. I'm going to speak about this quickly, and it's going to run us over time, but I just want to go for it. And it's a bit of a negative. I am concerned about the form of James Tavernier. I did say in the podcast the other night there that I think he has to start playing well for us to get something out this season. And I still believe that. I think because he's such a big player for us, our captain, a driving force up the wing with his assists, I think he has to play well. I think he has to. However, we're starting to see it again since the break. We've only seen 2 games right enough, but I thought he was poor last night. His pass was beautiful to Tillman, but I thought Hibs targeted him again. I thought I don't know how many times he gave the ball away. There's no getting away from Tavernier, who's playing poorly at the moment. Someone who's not playing poorly is Adam Devine. We are due to get a left back from the World Cup shortly. Unbelievably, it is a headache. I do believe it's a headache. I'm not saying that Devine should be straight in the team on Tuesday. Ali, it's definitely a thought. The way Tavernier is playing, that he may need a spell on the bench. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I think he is really struggling for form at the moment.
He's been struggling all season, along with a few other players, but he's not been great. But again, he's one of these players, right? I'd like to see his assists this season, how many assists he's given. Like that slip ball to Tillman last night, 5, there you go. That slip ball to Tillman, he's got that in his locker. Yeah, he is making a lot of mistakes. He does look like he's lacking a bit of pace as well. I know folk keep saying he's injured this season. To me, he can't be injured. If he's injured, he wouldn't be playing. But I don't think they'll drop him. Even if Barisic, I know Barisic isn't your favourite player, Ryan, but if Barisic comes back in, I don't think...
Oh, no, just for the record, I think Borna Barisic is a fantastic player, probably the best player I've ever seen after I read what his dad is, so no.
What, the Moth? The Moth, aye. I heard these days. I heard he was in Ayrshire, by the way, the Moth, a couple of weeks ago, looking for somebody. Aye. But no, I'd play Tav. I'd keep Tav there. I know Devine had a great game last night, but I would stick with Tav.
Cool. Carney is your man, so I should have came to you first, and just briefly, because I know we want to speak about Aberdeen as well. Tav, what's your thoughts on him at the moment?
There's no doubt, mate, that his form's not been anywhere near what he has to be, and we all agreed, I think, that he will be vital for us to get anything out of this season, but he has to perform at his best, and he isn't just now, especially that first half look. There is no doubt he misses Connor Goldson. I think there's too much on his mind about what's behind him more than what's in front of him, and he kind of overthinks things. It's been reported that he's come out and said that he had a bit of a knee knock that he was dealing with, that he kind of played through. But I mean, he's had plenty of time to rest up now, and I'd like to think they got to the bottom of that, and it's now time for him to kind of get back to his full fitness. And he did. I mean, his corner did lead to the knock-on from Tillman for Jack to get the goal, so you have to take that into consideration. It was a great ball to play into Tillman, so he's still definitely adding numbers to his game. There's absolutely no doubt about it. Stevie T, thank you very much, mate. That's very much appreciated. Thanks, mate. Really, really appreciate that. But I don't think you can drop him. I just don't. I don't think you can drop him, because everybody says Devine's playing great, and Devine is playing great, but he is still a boy as well, and Rangers fans are not forgiving. So as soon as he makes a mistake for a goal, it'll be all of a sudden, why have you done that? Why have you dropped Tav to bring in Devine? It's like a catch-22 situation. There is no doubt in my mind that he hasn't been at the standards that we've expected. But I do think once Goldson's back, once we have a solid backline again, I think we'll see improvements. I can't see how we can't see improvements. But you're going to have this discussion over and over again just now until he finds his form, or maybe a wee bit of the old form that we're used to seeing. One thing I will say is there must be somebody else that can hit a free kick, a corner in our team. There just has to be. I've seen loads of people saying it in the chat. There just has to be. I'm not saying that, but I mean, the amount of corners, I think we had like three or four corners last night, and it's the first man. You're like, oh, and you've seen it so many times. You're like, stop. You know, and it's very frustrating in that sense. But no, I'll agree with Ali. I think we'll persevere with Tav. I don't see Tavernier getting dropped.
No, I think the captain's armband will save him at times, but whether Beale will be ruthless, I don't know. James from Glasgow makes a good point there. Tav's a wee guy who brings his bod in the park and has to take all the corners and tries and free kicks and penalties. Yes, I was that wee boy, James. Cheers. Scotia, just quickly before we move on to Aberdeen, Adam Devine, for me, is playing very well. I'm impressed with him. As I said, Ali and I spoke to a guy at Fir Park who was rating him. What's your thoughts on Devine? And just quickly, do you think Tavernier is a concern?
Devine, really good. Really impressed with him having to come in playing at left back, which sometimes gives you an advantage if you're playing on the other side of the pitch, because you can cut inside and play different types of passes, and you're up against a player that maybe doesn't expect that at first, so you can take advantage of that. But been really impressed with him. He's obviously been in and around the first team now for quite a while. Probably unfortunate not to get more of a chance deputising under Tav, but I think, like Carney mentions there, that's probably and due to Goldson's injury, that you can't afford to then Tav needs to be there kind of thing. But no, I was really impressed with Devine. He was another one. I thought he was one of the players that I would have given pass marks to in the first half. Second half, I thought it was better. He was bombing up forward more. He looked more confident. He's getting in. His crosses get better. Final ball get better as the night went on. So no, I was really pleased with Devine. And, obviously, Beale came out and said that Yilmaz is, 6-7 weeks into a 12-week layoff. So he's out for the foreseeable. Borna obviously won't be, I would imagine, possibly back for Ross County. Probably not, though, because obviously I imagine he'll play tomorrow for Croatia. So having Devine there at left back for me is fine going forward, and just for the time being. Obviously, you don't want to have him there the rest of the season because what will happen to King, just burning them out a wee bit too quickly. But no, I'm fairly impressed. Tav, I agree with the guys there. He has been poor all season. He did come out and say he had an injury issue. I think it was the game against Ajax that he says he's been playing with like an injury since then, which we could all see. But I did think he was better in the second half last night. Like, the majority of the team, once they'd kind of figured out what they were doing at centre half, once Jack had dropped back a wee bit deeper, I think he got the advantage. And this is what Tav does. You can slate his defending, but his defending's been poor since Tav joined us, really. Tav's main asset to us is going forward. And if he can get back to more standards, he's sitting joint second with Borna, just behind Kent and assists for the team this season. So he's still contributing to the team.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I agree. And I'm excited to see how Devine develops over the next 5 months. So we do play Aberdeen on Tuesday, guys. I know we've ran over, but I do want to just speak to you about it for 5 minutes. Aberdeen do play that lot on Saturday as well. That is that mob's game in hand. So I think they're a midday kick-off on Saturday. But anyway, they play the big team in Glasgow on Tuesday at Pittodrie. And they are currently 11 points behind us at the moment, I think. I was impressed with the boy Duke and the boy Clarkson, I think it is, from Liverpool, Leighton Clarkson, I believe his name is. I was impressed with him as well. At Ibrox, I thought they were both quite tidy players. So I'll quickly give my team and my scoreline. I think we'll go with the same team apart from centre half. I think Ben Davies will come in, and I think Lundstram will drop out, and I think he'll stick with the same midfield and same up top as well. Because Morelos scored, I think he'll stick with him. Leon King, I don't think Leon King's not back, is he?
We don't know. Don't know.
Right, well, I'll stick with Sands. I'll stick with Sands, and I'm going to go 2-1 Rangers. Alfredo, because he's got a good record against the Sheep. Alistair, thoughts on Tuesday, scoreline and first goal scorer, please.
It'll be a tough. It's always a tough game up at Pittodrie. They only show up for one team every season, and it's always us. I mean, you know what will happen on Saturday, and then you know what will happen when they turn up against us. So it happens all the time. But we should have enough to go up to Pittodrie and beat Aberdeen. Again, they're one of these teams that we all get in our head. Oh, it's going to be a tough game going up to Pittodrie, like going to Easter Road, like going to Tynecastle. We should be going up there and taking control of that game and beating Aberdeen convincingly. So yeah, I'm confident going up there with Beale in charge. My team's a wee bit different, right? I'm going on the fact of certain players I think may be back. I think Leon King will be back if he had just a stomach upset. And obviously Cholak as well. I'm going in the terms that he's available. So I'm going McGregor, Tav, King, Davies, Devine, Jack, Kamara, Tillman, Rankin, Cholak, and Alfredo Morelos. And I'm going to go 2-0 Rangers, Rankin, first goal scorer.
I thought you were going to pick Jack Kamara as your first goal scorer, but fair play.
What a player.
They'll get signed. They'll get an assist and one of them will score.
Carney, Aberdeen, like Ali said, it's always that fixture you see every year when you come up to Pittodrie. Tough one. We know we're going to get up there, but what's your team scoreline, first goal and thoughts, please?
Yeah, first of all, Jim, thank you very much, mate, for the donation. That's very much appreciated, mate. You're always there, Jim. You're always there. Absolutely superb, mate. Thank you so much. It is one of the. I think we get drawn into the hype that Aberdeen fans like to think that this is somehow a rivalry, and it just isn't. So you kind of get drawn into thinking that it's a massive game, but it is one of the games in the calendar that you always look at. It's been a particular tough trip. It's never usually easy up there. Justin, not far behind as usual. Justin, thank you very much, mate.
They're like two horses. Two horses at
God
Cheltenham.
bless America.
I know, once one bolts, the other goes. It's absolutely brilliant. Superb. Thank you so much. Yeah, but it is always a tough game. They're always absolutely up for it. It's their biggest crowd of the season, no doubt, when Rangers are in town. So yeah, it's going to be it will be a tough game. Look, every game's going to be a tough game now to the end of the season, because if we want to win this league, we need to win every single game. It's as simple as that. I know that's not going to happen, or it's very unlikely that it will happen, but that's what we've got to believe and try and do. So yeah, my team's along the same lines of what Ali just said there. I'll go McGregor, Tavernier, King, Davies, Devine. I'll play Lundstram, Jack, Tillman, and Kent, Morelos, and Cholak up front. And I cannot wait to see Cholak and Morelos playing in the same team. See, when he said it in the post match after it, he's like, "Oh, if Cholak was fit, he'd have been playing." I was like, "Oh, like how desperate are you to see that?" Especially with the different kind of shape that he plays. Because at one point it did look like a kind of 4-2-2-2, if you like, that we were playing. So it was I'm particularly interested to see that. So I'd imagine Cholak will be back. I'd imagine King will be back, and he has to play Davies. He just has to play Davies. And I kind of feel sorry for Sands, to be honest, because he's probably been the best of the non-centre halves, if you like. It's probably a wee bit unfortunate him. And maybe if King's not feeling right, that's obviously the obvious one to play alongside Davies, but Davies has to play. I'll go 3-1 Rangers, and Cholak to get the first goal.
Oh, Big Tony. Okay. Right, Scotia, Aberdeen. What's your team scoreline and first goal scorer, please?
I'll just give my team, because I honestly don't know what to expect from Aberdeen. If we'd done this, well, in fact, the Celtic game won't give me any indication on how they'll play against us, like Carney and
No,
Ali
it won't.
said. Yeah,
No,
so
it won't.
Wouldn't matter regardless. Yeah, I'll just get. Well, in fact, my team is very simple. It's the exact same as Carney's. I think King will be back, because if Carney, what you were saying earlier, that Wright had a stomach bug earlier in the week. I mean, he came on off the bench, so it doesn't seem to be one that's waylaid them for too long. So yeah, same team as Carney. I'll go 2-0 Rangers. Alfie first goal scorer.
A couple of Alfie goals there. That's interesting. And it will be interesting to see if he does play two strikers. I would absolutely love that. Anybody knows me knows I'm choking for two strikers. Linda, she's there. I am at a different location at the moment, but there she's there.
Yes, she is. Never too far away.
Never too far away. She's nosy. Let's just say that. Thank
before
you.
Before we go as well, mate. Sorry, just before we go, Chris. McLaren has asked France or Argentina.
I just want Messi to win it. I'm a big Messi fan, so I want Messi to win it. It'd be a travesty if he didn't win that World Cup. So I'd go Argentina.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. 100% agree, mate. Argentina. Yeah, just so Messi can win it. That's it. And Messi can ride off into the sunset, mate. So yes, Argentina for me.
Yeah, Argentina. Sorry, Scotia.
Argentina for me. I fancied Argentina right at the start. Got a wee bet on them, still sitting there. So, Argentina for me. Like you say, Messi scoring would be great. And I've always liked Argentina at World Cups. Was it Cambiasso that scored that absolutely fantastic team goal? Quite a few years back now. I've loved them at World Cup since then.
Yeah, and so you're France and Ali, is that what you said?
Nah, France, to be fair, bore me as a football team to watch. I don't think they're great to watch. They've got Mbappe, who's a fantastic player. I'm the same. Argentina for me. I'll be wearing my Claudio Caniggia Argentina shirt for the final. Good
man. I don't think France have been the same since Stefan Kivars left them, but that's what we can do. Brilliant, gents. We've ran over, but I think it's been worth it because Rangers are back. We've missed them. It's been great to talk about them, and there's plenty to talk about. We could go on for another hour, I think. Thanks to everyone in the comments for getting involved and the donations. They are very much well received. We appreciate every single one of them. We will not be back on Tuesday because Rangers are playing, and hopefully they do win. If they do win, that's 3 points closer to me getting a Jacamara tattoo. So everybody think about it that way. But yeah, thank you very much for the support. We will be back next week, and hopefully Rangers win on Tuesday. Thank you very much, everyone. If you like, share and subscribe. We are Club at 22. Cheers.